Hello, 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 fun food fans. We are back again today, coming to you from our kitchen right here in Tirana, Albania. My name is Karen Ricks, head chef at our kitchen classroom, and I am so excited to be bringing you some of my favorite papery little bundles of joy this evening. Can you see it? Can you see it? You know what I've got here? It's garlic. For those of you who had a chance to join me over on social media earlier in the day, you might have seen literally piles of garlic from right here on our kitchen table. We have been preparing all manner of this peeling and preparing all sorts of this papery goodness. And so many of you have been asking, where did you get it? What are you going to do with it? How much are you making? So I'm going to keep peeling a little bit right here while we chat for a little bit. And then I'm going to take you right over to the stove there behind me. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what we do with this wonderful golden deliciousness that is garlic. For those of you who don't know me, as I said, my name is Karen Ricks, and I am the head chef of our kitchen classroom. And I am on a mission to teach children of all ages how to celebrate life and how to love learning. And here at our kitchen classroom, we do that through food like this delicious garlic and world travel. And I've got another amazing story to share with you today from our travels in and around Japan, where my family and I lived for 10 years before we launched our global culinary adventures all around the world. And I want to share with you just how this glorious garlic is connected to some of that as well. So, for those of you who've been following us for any length of time, here at our kitchen classroom, you know I am all about more, okay? I don't want to have to choose between this or that. I'm an and kind of gal. I want it all. And when it comes to garlic, as I said earlier, I don't think there's any such thing as too much garlic, okay? But a part of that, of course, has to do with how that garlic is prepared. Are you a garlic fan? Go ahead and leave me a note in the comments. Tell me, do you love garlic? Are you like me? You think there's no such thing as too much of the good stuff? Or maybe you prefer your garlic in moderation. Go ahead and tell me that too. Let me know in the comments. Remember, this is not just me sitting here in my kitchen chatting at you. This is an ongoing conversation. So I want to hear your thoughts. I'm actually sipping on some more golden gloriousness here. Got some jasmine tea that I've been brewing in my brand new toy, a little French press that has allowed me to help to open up the beautiful tea leaves, give them plenty of room to bloom in the hot water while steeping. And this is absolutely amazing. Oh. What are you drinking while we chat? So as I said, I've been peeling garlic, and I've probably peeled, I don't know, maybe at least 8 to 10 heads of garlic today. It's not unusual for us to go through a lot of garlic, especially when we've got lots and lots of fresh garlic available. This came off of a humongous bundle of local garlic that we picked up from one of our favorite shops just around the corner a ways here at Agrimona. Thanks to our friends there, we are fully stocked on all sorts of amazing local and organic produce here in Albania. Well, if you were watching yesterday's video, you know how important it is to make sure that you are grabbing local and seasonal produce. And like I said, when it's in season, not only is it abundantly available, but it also tends to be less expensive. But here's the kicker. That local stuff, the organic freshness, that stuff that's right in season, it doesn't last long. And as we talked about yesterday, sometimes you just got loads of it and you want to do all sorts of things with it. But sometimes you can't necessarily do that. And that's when it comes to preserving techniques. Now, I have been following all sorts of other food bloggers for years. And shortly after arriving in Japan, I landed on the most amazing blog of the breakaway cooking of Eric Gower, an American citizen just like us who spent quite a bit of time in Japan and used his time there before heading back to the States to really soak up all the wonderful, beautiful deliciousness that is Japanese cuisine. And so I loved following his blog and checking out some of his books where he talked about all sorts of great mixes and fusions of ingredients to bring together the most amazing dishes. Now, two things really caught my attention about Eric Gower's cooking. The first was that he talked about the exciting ways that different ingredients would come together without necessarily having a recipe. Now, I know that's one of those things that some of you followers tell me just drives you nuts. You're like, just give me a measurement. Tell me how much of what to put in. Are you one of those recipe folks? Leave me a note in the comments and let me know. I want a recipe. Or are you more like me, more like Eric Gower, kind of freestyling it, freewheeling it, a little bit of this, a whole lot of that, as kind of suits your fancy? Do you like to improvise in the kitchen? Let me know in the comments. Do you want a recipe or do you prefer to improvise, kind of play it fun and fancy-free? Well, aside from his really inspired and improvisational style, another thing that I learned from Eric Gower was about garlic confit. And that's exactly one of the ways that we are going to preserve this beautiful garlicky goodness. Although, I'm going to let you in on a little hint. Even the preserved stuff doesn't last very long in our kitchen. Come on over to the stove. Let me show you how it's done. Now, during our time in Japan, we had the chance to observe a whole lot of amazing ways that food was preserved. And let me tell you, some of it was really amazing. From the golden globes of bright orange persimmons, like this tree that we used to have in our yard. Oh, if you've never had a persimmon, they're kind of hard to describe. It's this roundish fruit. Actually, there are a couple of different kinds, but the ones I'm talking about, they are so beautifully ovoid in shape. And when they're in season, they're plucked and strung on these lines until you get these big golden curtains of the fruit, and then they're hung, draped out in the sun to dry. And as they shrivel up, all that sweetness gets concentrated into what turns into something like nature's candy. It is absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so preserving though, it's really just this way to savor all this glorious seasonal goodness so that you can use it again later at another time. And that's what we're going to do with this garlic. So I told you I've been peeling all sorts of garlic today. Here we've got a big bowl. This is probably 4 small heads. I told you I had a big bundle here. I've been plucking and pulling them from this big braid right here. And after peeling away at this garlic, which is something that is great for little hands to jump in and join you, because you can do this not just hours, but even days in advance. Just put it in the refrigerator until you're ready to use this all. We're going to take these cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to dump them into the pot. There we go. Let's see, make sure you can see what's going on over there. All right, so I've just tipped these into the skillet here, and then I'm going to cover them with olive oil. This is another amazing local find I've got here. Look at that. Oh, keep an eye on my Instagram at karenm.ricks, and you will get a chance to see exactly where I got all of this glorious goodness here. But this olive oil, and this does not have to be the super good stuff because we're actually going to cook this, okay? But this olive oil, you just want enough to be able to cover your garlic, okay? So we've got a nice full pan here, covering up the garlic, and I'm going to turn on the fire. Make sure that's nicely lit. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to let this garlic warm through in the oil. We don't want it to boil, okay? This is not a boiling process, but what we want it to do is heat up like you would for it to boil, And then we're going to turn down the flames and let it come to a simmer. Now, if you have a gas stove like I do, you can lower the heat so it's so low that you just get teeny tiny little bubbles coming up to the surface. If you're on an electric eye, on the other hand, you might need to keep a more careful eye on it because, again, we don't want this to boil. I'm going to cover this with my lid just for a moment here. Again, we don't want this to heat up so fast or so long that it starts to boil, but I just want to help it come up to temperature. And then once it does, we'll remove that lid so that it just comes to that nice little gentle simmer. Oh, let me grab my tea. And we'll let that go for 30 to 45 minutes until those garlicky cloves get nice and tender. And guess what? For those of you who said that bite of garlic might be just a touch too much, let me tell you, garlic confit is the way to go, because as the garlic heats through the oil, it softens, and that bite of those stinky sulfides that gives garlic that bite when it's raw, those mellow out. In fact, the garlic flavor infuses into the oil. So you actually get two cool preservations in one. You get soft, mellow garlic cloves with just a touch of salt. You can smear them like softened butter onto a piece of bread or toast, and you will have the most fantastic garlic bread you have ever had in your life, I promise. Oh, good stuff. And in addition to the confit garlic, you also end up with a beautiful golden garlic oil. Now, like I said, we're going to let this heat up and we're going to let it simmer for 30 to 45 minutes, and then we'll let it cool. And then I will store it in a glass jar in the refrigerator. Now, this is important that you do store it in a nice cool place like your refrigerator or a dark, cool pantry, because having cooked it for so long, it does allow the introduction of other bacteria. And so unless it's properly canned or stored in the refrigerator, it can go bad, and you don't want to introduce botulism into your household. I promise you that would not be pleasant. So we'll come back. That garlic should heat up momentarily, and I will show you what those little bubbles look like that we want to finish. But here's the coolest thing about garlic confit. This was what got me so excited about this particular preservation technique. The thing is, for all those recipes that you see out there that talk about, like dicing one little clove of garlic, maybe 2 small cloves of garlic, if you really like that garlicky flavor, you can toss that out the window, because when you have this confit garlic, then, as I said, if you're making that garlic toast, you can take 3, 5, 10 whole cloves and slather them on. You get the more that we're looking for. You can have a whole bunch of that garlic, and it's not going to punch you in the mouth. You're not going to be worried about offending everyone who comes within a kilometer radius of you, because you're not going to be filled with that offensive, sulfury, odorous garlic. No, this is mellow. It's almost kind of sweet. It's amazing. And you can have so much more. Now, again, if you were following the social media posts earlier on, I did mention garlic 3 ways. We tossed loads of this garlic into our chicken noodle soup. When was that? Last week? Over the weekend, I think? I don't remember now. It seems like just yesterday and forever ago. I don't know. We're preparing so much garlicky goodness. And we prepared a garlic puree. Oh, goodness, we might have to get together a big garlicky blog post to pull all this goodness together. But the garlic confit is one, as I said, we'll get the garlic oil, we'll store the cloves, we'll put them in the jar and stash them away in the refrigerator. And we will come back to those again and again. And I tell you what, it's probably not even going to last a week in our refrigerator. But you could probably store it easily for up to a month in your refrigerator if you're using it on a regular basis. Let me tell you, if you, like me, want more, you want to be able to dive in and get more out of your culinary experiences, not just preserving the seasonal goodness here, but taking a peek into the more that is the culinary and the cultural traditions, I want to invite you to come and join me and my family in Japan this spring. We are going to dive into so much more. In the springtime is when you get the gorgeously delicate and amazingly sweet and savory preparations of that amazing flower, the sakura. The Japanese cherry blossoms, yes, those are preserved as well for Japanese cuisine. And as I said, sweet and even savory, yeah, salty cherry blossoms. They are in everything in the springtime, from teas to sweets to so much more. And I would love to have you and your family join us on our culinary and cultural tour into Japan. In the springtime, we can be inundated with sakura, and we will get so very much more. All right, I hear the oil heating up here. We've got our beautiful bubbles. And so now we're going to make sure that we've got the temperature turned way down. Let's get those flames super, super low. Okay. And so what we're looking for here in this golden garlicky olive oil is teeny tiny bubbles. Okay, I know you could hear it with me. The temperature came up. That's what we wanted. But as I said, if your temperature gets too hot, you want to let it cool down. Take it off the flames, and we're going to let it come up so that we just have some tiny bubbles. In fact, what I'm going to do here is add just a touch more oil. That's going to help bring the temperature down just a bit here. Okay, just a little bit more of our olive oil here. Perfect. Oh, look at this. And now I want to show you these teeny tiny bubbles that we're looking for. You ready? Oh, isn't that beautiful? It's like it's just singing. Listen to that. All right. So I'm going to leave the lid off of that garlicky olive oil. We're going to let it just kind of low simmer away for about 30 to 45 minutes. And you can check back with me tomorrow over on Instagram, on Facebook. Like I said, eventually we'll pull together a little blog post too, full of all this garlicky goodness. And I'll let you see what the final goodness looks like. It's going to look an awful lot just like that, what you saw in the pan, but cooled down so it can go into our glass jar and we can store it over in the refrigerator. What questions do you have for me? Not just about the garlicky goodness, not just about preserving the fantastic flavors of fall that we're coming into right now, but about Japan, about the culinary and the cultural traditions we'll be exploring there too. Oh, I've got so many more stories I want to share with you, some insights into some of the amazing and wonderful traditions that my family and I experienced there over 10 years, and a peek into the itinerary that we're pulling together for our fantastic tour this spring. March of 2019. Do you think you and your family might want to join me and ours in Japan this spring? Check out the link so you can schedule a chat with me. If you think, on a scale of like 1 to 10, I'm like 8, 9, 10, sign me up now. Go ahead and schedule a chat with me. We can see if we're a good fit, if we're going to travel together. We're going to have so much fun, and I would love to invite you to be a part of all the delicious goodness, the deep dives into the culinary and cultural traditions of our second home. I'll be back again tomorrow, answering more of your questions and giving you more and more insights about all of the beautiful things that we're learning on our culinary adventures around the world. I look forward to seeing you back again tomorrow.